Afghanistan. Yes, indeed. I have to ask you, Mr. President, were you stoned when they talked you into this? In the film Path to War, excellent film, one of those many Donald Sutherland films out there that deals with the White House. Baldwin's in it too. Baldwin is McNamara. Clark Clifford put it to General Wheeler at the table. What is the definition of victory in Vietnam? And General Wheeler explained that it was the crossover effect. When the Vietnamese finally realized the great, awesome, imperial America was so powerful that they would back down and acquiesce. It didn't happen, of course. General Wheeler explained that it would take a 10-to-1 superiority, 10-to-1 superiority in a guerrilla warfare situation. So Clark jacked him up. He said, General Wheeler, 10-to-1, huh? And then he said, well, yeah, Clark, there's 50,000 North Vietnamese on the ground right now. And they have another 50 immediately behind them, and then 100,000 in reserve. So 200,000 people. But let's say it was only 100,000 people, the 50 on the front lines and the 50 right behind them. And Clark said to him, see, Lyndon, talking to President Johnson, 10-to-1 to beat 100,000 people would take 1 million troops in Vietnam. 1 million troops. If they only had 100,000 out there, half their force. Now, how many Muslims do you think are really over in Afghanistan? How many people over there are more than happy to support Al-Qaeda? For us to do a 10-to-1 superiority, if they have 26 million people in the general area, would take 260 million Americans. We might as well move America over there. Now, in Fog of War, which is also really interesting, it was Bob McNamara talking about himself, and he explained how we fail sometimes to get inside the enemy's skin, inside their head, especially in a situation like North Vietnam. And Mr. President, this goes to respecting the people. We go over there and try to cram our Anglo-Saxon, American, Christian values down their throat. We've got troops over there getting hammered, sticking fire hoses between their legs and pretending like they're pissing all over everybody, and they wonder why the local clergy gets all pissed off. They don't even like alcohol. Or on the other hand, they have no problem smoking hash, smoking opium, smoking marijuana, and having 4 wives. Who are we to tell them that their way is wrong and ours is better, especially with 34,000 sects of Christianity out there? We have failed to respect them as a people. Now I want to hit on this. My son was teasing me about it. He goes, what is that, Dad? And I said, well, these are mountains, and it's kind of like the shape of a turkey because it was a turkey shoot. I don't know what general, what officer, who was in charge that told these people to build a base at the foot of a mountain so that the Taliban could sit up here and blow the piss out of our troops. But the last thing that general needs is 30,000 more troops. A general like that needs to be gone. Let's face it, there was no common sense in it. Military, what was it for? To get him killed so we could go to Congress and ask for more troops? Because we're just inches away from victory, as General Wheeler used to say. Westmoreland, too. Westmoreland was no better. You give them all this credit, they went out and got thousands, tens of thousands of Americans killed. To send in 30,000 troops, this really goes to something that one of Johnson's advisors said to him. He goes, we're walking in there apologetically. We're going into Vietnam apologetically. We should be marching there proud to be Americans, proud to kick the hell out of all of them. 30,000 troops is a joke. All you're doing is setting these poor 30,000 troops up for is suffering and death. 30,000 isn't enough to combat the Taliban. It's just not. Definitely not enough to combat all of Islam. There is a different way, though. Follow me. You ready for this? Peace in the Middle East? Oh my goodness. At least in Afghanistan for a while. We changed the focus of the war. Dig it. Instead of impeding on their spiritual beliefs, we compliment them. It's real simple. Dig it. $2.5 billion annually. It'll be coming in through Act 10, our future world in general, just the purpose to buy marijuana and hashish from the Afghani people to help supplement the humongous American demand for marijuana. We are the largest marijuana consuming nation on earth, to my knowledge. And that money, once again, will be used under our direction. We'll allocate accordingly. We'll be watching every penny of it. Will be used for a mega project over there, which is definitely in Act 10, our future world. Now, we'll also be looking hard at opium production. These people sell their opium straw. They sell their base opium. It goes into places like France for remanufacturing into heroin. So they don't really care that they're getting heroin prices or opium prices. On the other hand, what we do is we've already created a genuine partnership with the marijuana and the hash. We've got a mega project going, which is putting these people to work, which we'll learn about in Act 10. And if we start buying their opium as well, we not only create genuine partnerships, but it goes to religious restorations and the shaman. And what I mean by this is, to me, it's time that some of the Afghani shaman, some of the Mexican shaman, South American shaman, all of them, African shaman, all start setting up shop here in America. They have their own facilities, their own churches, and part of the religious restoration is to teach us their way as much as we've taught them our way. The difference is we're not going to go cramming, or they're not going to go cramming Christianity down our throats, and they're not going to be burning us at the stake or hanging us or any other mess just because we chose not to embrace their God. It's our option. Do we want to walk into the store or not? And there is a whole taxation mechanism set up in the Gifts of God Act just for this kind of activity so that people can make even more money across the table. So once again, Mr. President, I submit to you 30,000 troops. Instead of putting them in harm's way, put them out there to protect the pot fields and the opium poppies. This will get the other people from Afghanistan itself behind you. You won't need a 10-to-1 minimum superiority anymore because there won't be much of guerrilla warfare. The people will actually be helping you protect their pot plants. There was a congressman recently said it takes a 1 in 50 to win the hearts and minds. 26 million people is 520,000 of our people over there to win their hearts and minds. We don't need to do that. We're going to win their hearts and minds by buying their pot, by buying their hash, by putting them to work. They're looking for genuine partnerships, and they're going to dismiss the Taliban like nobody's business when they're doing business with us directly, especially when we're respecting their religious rights. We're not telling them they can have one wife. We're not telling them they have to drink alcohol. As a matter of fact, if anything, you want to do these people a real favor, get your alcohol out of the region.